Hello, everybody, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am TheOutbackAl.
I'm Chibi Noob.
I'm Envy Jitters.
And I'm CheerandCosplay.
And is it anime? Nay, but we like it anyway. So we've been watching some Steven Spielberg produced shows for this month. Last week we did Tiny Toons. Had a good time with that, and this week it's on to the next iteration of that, which is Animaniacs. Have we all, on some level, seen this before or aware of this?
Yes.
Okay.
I was aware of it. I've seen a few clips over the years. This is my first time actually sitting down and watching it.
Honestly, I gotta be real with you, Envy. I'm really glad you've never seen any of these, because I do like the perspective of some people who've just, never seen certain things when I'm, I was in it when I was very young. So, yeah, this was the second show that they produced. Follows the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister Dot and their various adventures and a bunch of other characters in sort of a vaudeville sketch format, almost more so than Tiny Toons was. Envy, why don't you just give us your first impressions of some of this?
I mean, I will say right off the bat that I enjoyed this a lot more than Tiny Toons. Not that I didn't enjoy Tiny Toons, but I was engrossed and I was entertained thoroughly the entire time watching this. This is what I expected Tiny Toons to be last week, and this week was just... Remember how I said, Tiny Toons kind of gave a shit, but kind of didn't? Animaniacs does not give a shit at all, but I loved it because of it. And I did not know the premise of this show, so I didn't realize that the Warner siblings were basically so annoying and so irritating that they literally had to lock up in the tower for over 60 years before they finally escaped.
It's in the theme song.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I do love the, it's almost like, and this kind of was a bit of a thing in the 90s, it was like the Seinfeld joke of, what's the show about? It's about nothing. It's like, yeah, no, I think that was a great call on their part. I mean, to be fair, I circle back to what I said last week about, I feel like all of these had the same sort of, thought process and philosophy for comedy, and it was like, Tiny Toons was the basis, and then Animaniacs kind of perfected it. Pinky and the Brain also did some stuff, and then Freakazoid will be the logical conclusion to that, and I'm going to be very interested to see what you guys think about that one when we get to it. But
I feel like it really depends on our sense of humor.
True.
For that.
You're right about that. Speaking of, I guess, how did you feel about this? I mean, we can compare it to Tiny Toons, or we could just take it on its own, but how was everyone else feeling rewatching this for the first time in a while?
I was very, very little when this was airing, so I only have the foggiest. I don't remember I basically just remember the characters, none of the show itself. I was surprised at how witty and fast paced it was.
Yeah,
it, almost as a British sense of humor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. It took, I think, where Tiny Toons took kind of the Looney Tunes premises and the characters in that, and sort of updated them a little bit. I think this was more let's draw from a number of different comedic influences and sort of meld them together and go with parts that work, drop parts that don't. I mean, each of the characters is kind of their own thing in a way. Yeah, I'll get into more of that later.
So I watched this when I was very, very young, and then also again when it got syndicated to Nicktoons, which was during the 2000s.
Yeah.
And the thing is I remember the theme song. However, once it got to Nicktoons, they changed that little bit where they use whatever sort of word and it ends in any.
Yeah, the weird rhyme bit.
Yeah, they changed every single one. They changed it to Dot being a fortune teller and having a crystal ball, and it just said Nicktoons, and the word was Nickelaney.
Yeah.
Which is what I remember more. So I was I know this was different originally, but I don't remember how.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I kept some of the original ones. Those were always fun.
Yeah. I would say, as far as watching it was very fast-paced, and I feel there were funny moments for me, but I feel it didn't hit quite as hard as Tiny Toons did, unfortunately, for me.
Really?
And maybe that's just because it was a little more random as far as the slapstick and everything else went. And then there was, "Hello, nurse. I was like, please just shut the fuck up. My God, I hated that bit as a child and I hate it now. Which that's a me thing, but yeah,
They do kiss a lot of people in this show.
They do kiss a lot of people, and I'm just like, where is the consent forms?
I feel like I need to, because I did watch the first season of the revival of this. I need to go through the rest of it and see, like, did they do that again? Because it is kind of like, this probably wouldn't fly as much today.
No. And the thing is, it's like, I get it's a certain sense of humor, and I feel like as a child, I probably would have laughed like crazy. But now I'm just kind of like, I kind of enjoyed the a bit more tongue-in-cheek stuff. And granted, there were moments of that, but I felt like it was just a lot more wacky antics rather than necessarily like an actual plot for some of the things. Granted, Tiny Toons did have some more like little sketch kind of things, but it was sort of a bit more cohesive. But maybe that's just because these episodes are all really, really short. They're like, 12 minutes long?
Yeah, I think there was one or two specials that I put in that were like the full half-hour show. But other than that, yeah. Even those ones are kind of broken down.
Well, didn't they do like a Warner sibling segment and then another segment, and that was an episode?
Yeah, sometimes they would fit in a third one as well. But yeah, pretty much that. I feel like I mentioned last week that I didn't feel like the Tiny Toons jokes were as like, I think I used the word punchy, and I think this was a little bit more of what I was looking for, of like, I feel like they're a little sharper. And by sharper, I mean like they dig a little more on other people's. Yeah, I think the timing is definitely better in this show, personally. Yeah, I think this was, I feel like this could have been Tiny Toons had they like practiced it a little bit more. But then again, like Chibi said, that they didn't like it as much. I mean, that's kind of the thing with humor, is your mileage is going to vary for what's going to happen. I'm going to be very interested to see what you think of Freakazoid, because if you didn't like the randomness in this one...
I feel like for anything that I had seen of Freakazoid as a kid, I was not there for it.
Oh.
I don't really particularly remember enjoying anything that I saw, but I saw very little.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure my parents deemed it too inappropriate for me as a kid.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. But we'll save that for later. Yeah, I'm trying to think. From the selection of episodes that we got, we just about hit every major character in some form or fashion. I mean, Pinky and the Brain are obviously the biggest segment that they had that came out of this. But I'm trying to think here. I think the only ones that we didn't get like individual ones for would have been like the Good Feathers and Slappy the Squirrel.
Pigeons?
Yeah, the pigeons that were Goodfellas parody, which children were definitely gonna get.
Nope, did not get it at all.
I mean, they did have that one episode where they literally switched, characters, and so you had the dog with the Goodfella pigeon.
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted to include that episode too, so I knew a ton of characters were going to be in that. I think some of the only people that didn't really like get an episode to shine, they were in some episodes, but it wasn't like focused on them, were some of the actual people the Warners tend to interact with the most, which is like people who like work for the studio, like they're mentioned.
The old woman teacher or something like that.
The old woman teacher was a one-off. She wasn't a thing. But I know who you're talking about.
The security guard.
Yeah, the security guard, Ralph, the studio head who's in the last episode that we watched, the Warner anniversary thing, but like he's got whole episodes where he's just being annoyed by them, and he also works with Ralph a lot. And then they're shown, but I don't think they're focused on, is Hello Nurse and Dr. Scratch and Sniff. And those two are regularly ones who are like, we're supposed to be the ones like reining the Warners in, and their failure to do so. Mostly Scratch and Sniff's stuff. But we didn't get as much of those. But we got like most of the other segments, like Buttons and Mindy, Rita and Runt, mentioned Pinky and the Brain.
Slappy and her nephew.
Yeah.
They were there briefly.
Yeah, they were one of the ones where they were in other people's stuff. But yeah. Even Katie Kaboom, who is never talked about.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I've heard of most of the side characters, but I never heard of Katie Kaboom before. So, and that's a shame, because it seems like it's an interesting premise. Like, you literally have a teenage girl that turns angry whenever she gets hormonal. So, shenanigans.
Yeah, but I think the reason it's not as talked about is because every segment was the exact same thing. Here's another reason she got angry, and then she explodes. There's not a lot of variety to it. Kind of the same thing with Chicken Boo, which was the chicken everyone thought was a person, but then people always notice, oh, that's a chicken. Like, it's always kind of the same joke.
I kind of got a kick out of it, though, whenever it was, the chicken was the Warner's manager, and they got into an argument.
Yeah, like, I feel like the first time you see that segment, it's like, okay, this is weird. And then the second time or third time, it's like, okay, I'm kind of getting the joke a little bit more, because now it's like, how does no one realize? And I do like it when they kind of like... And I feel like this was the perfect show to do it, when you have, like, other characters sort of, like, pop into other people's episodes a little bit. I do think it works really well. I really like, because I didn't remember it, the Camelot one, where it turns out Pinky and the Brain were the dragon.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know what? This world, this joke works so well.
And it's also amazing, too. And I give credit, I said last week that the orchestra music is, great, and it obviously continues this week, but it's amazing that the writing and the music in the show is so good, because literally the most famous song in the show's history is Wacko singing about the countries of the world and nothing else.
Yeah.
I thought it was the United States.
Well, there's... Wacko did the state capitals. Yakko did countries of the world.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got them confused. Yakko, excuse me.
Yeah, no, they all have the same name. Yakko, Wacko. They had to have them rhyme a little bit. Yeah, like, all the composers did a really good job with this. And I do like... I mean, we only really watched, as far as, like, musical segments, the one. But there's a bunch of other really good ones. And weirdly enough, educational. Like, I still remember all the names of the US presidents because they had a song about it. And I know who Magellan is because there was a song about it. Like,
I did crack up, and I forget what episode it was, but, like, they made fun of the fact that cartoons back in the day had to have a moral, and so, like, they made fun of that in one of the episodes where it's like, what was the moral of the story? Nothing major.
Yeah, what was the moral of the story for that one?
If at first you don't succeed, blame your parents.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I do like where they went with that, because... And I think this was maybe a better idea and probably kept people a little more interested. I don't think at any point Looney Tunes has ever really, like, dropped off as far as, like, people having seen them or known them and that sort of thing. Especially with Yakko's humor, he's basically just Groucho Marx, which I don't think in the 90s kids would have known as well and known the humor style as well, so it was probably a lot funnier because they never heard that kind of, like, fast talk kind of joke style, which I'm glad that they kind of, like, revived that a little bit with him.
Does Wacko get more stuff to do in later episodes? Because I feel like in these episodes you gave, Wacko didn't do as much other than the potty bit.
See, Wacko is... Weirdly enough, I'm going to go back to the Marx Brothers. Wacko's kind of the Harpo of the group. He doesn't talk that much. Most of what he does is, like, sight gags and prop humor type stuff. Like, he's the... I'm trying to think of a modern equivalent here.
Rico from
Yes,
Madagascar
exactly. That's
Penguins.
exactly what I was thinking of.
Yes.
Yeah. So that kind of character a little bit. But he also sounds like Ringo Starr. So...
Yeah, that surprised
Like-
me, because I can mentally, audibly picture what Dot and Yakko's voice were like, and then Wacko started talking. I'm like, oh, why does this, like, little 90s fuckboy talk like a beetle?
I wonder what is Wacko a fuckboy? What is this? Is it because he doesn't wear pants?
The hat is not helping, okay?
I
And
put
the
him more
hello
of a-
nurse thing.
I
That
put him as more of
too.
a Dennis the Menace than a fuckboy. Where the hell?
I don't even know about that. I'm like, Dennis the Menace does not remind me of this at all.
I'm
Very
just
much.
saying it's like he's a kid. Don't call him a fuckboy.
Yeah. Okay, the
He's
90s
a 65-year-old child.
Today, that outfit is fuckboy. In the
Oh.
90s, I was just like a child.
Yeah, it's a little more Bart Simpson back then. Now it's like, oh, you're in a fraternity, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I can see that. It's just a weird way to have said that.
I mean, the behavior of them doesn't really help that much either.
No, you're right.
It definitely speaks to them being a lot older than children.
I mean, it's cartoon logic. They stay the same age for years.
Well,
I mean, physically, but mentally, they're 35.
65.
They've been locked in that tower for how long?
60 years.
So they're like old. They're
Yeah.
old men.
They're 65.
An old lady.
I mean, it kind of goes back, I guess. I mean, we can include the Looney Tunes in this because they showed up in the last episode that we watched.
They do, yeah.
So, we can go by the honey logic that they had in Tiny Toons. If you keep them laughing, you'll stay young forever. So, yeah. What was your guys' favorite segment? Outside of the Warners, like, who was your guys' favorite segment from this?
The cat.
The Rita and Runt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. To me, it felt like that one had like a plot line.
Yeah. I didn't think about it until I was rewatching. Those two were actually, because they do a lot of period piece stuff between them, they actually had one where their whole bit was, it's Les Miserables. And they sing the entire time.
Oh, I would have loved to see that one.
Yeah, Rita's in like an animal shelter for stealing kibble, I don't know, and then Runt Val Runt has to save her. Yeah. No, they had a lot of really good stuff. I honestly think they're I think because they were much more in tune with movies and like a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of their characters, I think their movie parody and like other things like that was a little bit better than Tiny Toons. I think they stuck to the plots a little bit more because the characters could just jump into it because it was like, this is a show. It's not like the making of a show like some of Tiny Toons stuff was.
Yeah.
I was reading a little bit about the show, and apparently those two characters were scrapped after the first season because the actress of the cat wanted more money or they couldn't agree to a contract, so they never appeared again.
Same thing happened to Ned Flanders' wife, Maud. She wanted more money, and so they killed her off.
I thought she had died in real life.
What? No.
You're thinking of another character.
There's been other characters like that, but I'm pretty sure she wanted more money, and they were like, nope, we're killing you off.
Oh.
Unless I'm wrong, I need to check that now. So,
and there was another voice actress for The Simpsons that died a couple years ago that voiced a bunch of characters. I forget. I don't watch The Simpsons, so I don't know what.
I could be thinking of someone else, but
I mean, it wasn't my favorite segment, but I will say one that I did like, where Pinky and the Brain have to go to what was it called? Not Jeopardy.
Jip
Parody.
Which I don't know that you could get away with that today, but.
But I mean, I knew the twist was going to come a mile away about the final question, but it was still pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they always had like good setups and stuff for that kind of thing. Like, I feel like they do it a couple other plays. Yeah, no, it was a money dispute. So she quit and they killed off the character. All right, I just needed to make sure because I'm like, am I being extremely insensitive to someone's death right now? I was not. So.
I'm trying to remember all the segments that we watched. I don't know if I had a favorite, but I was pretty entertained throughout most of them.
Yeah. I know there were some jokes that we knew just from, like, being on the internet. Like, I remember the Hercule Yako joke, where they were essentially doing Death on the Nile, I guess, but then we had a fingerprints joke.
Yeah, I've seen that one going around on Tumblr, but, like, still seeing it played out. Like, wow, they really went there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of love this show because in a lot of ways, and like harkening this back to some of its origins with like the Marx Brothers and that, I think that a lot of their jokes are funny in isolation, but I also think they get even funnier when you have the real context behind a lot of the scenarios. Like, I feel like the number one Groucho Marx quote is, "I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I'll never know." And like, it's funny, but like when you actually like hear the full story with it, the punchline gets better. And I feel like that's a lot of the sort of like well-known segments and cuts and jokes from this. Like, watch them in context and they're much funnier. But to be fair, I think you could say that about anything. So, I don't know what I'm talking about here.
You know what? I take that back. I know what my favorite segment was. I mentioned it earlier, the potty joke. I mean, it's the most, out of all the setups and out of all the segments, the one that I like the most is Wacko trying to go to the fucking bathroom.
Ah, yes, toilet humor.
Did you just want more Wacko? Was he your favorite?
No, it's just all the ways that he tried to go to the bathroom, and he it wasn't bad enough that the bathroom in the theater was bad.
Yeah.
It was the fact that nobody in town was nice enough to let him use the bathroom, and so he literally got a toilet out of his infinite bag of holding and got a tried to find, and he waited to go
Yeah, and then it's
to the
finding a
point where he
location.
went to where he went into the movie and pissed in the movie.
Yep, good stuff. There was also, I don't know if anyone else saw it, there was a Mystery Science Theater 3000 reference in that one.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Cece, did you name yours?
Yeah.
You don't have a favorite segment either?
No. I guess Pinky and the Brain.
Fair.
You'll probably like next week.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, as far as what to talk about. Like, the voice cast here is immaculate.
Mhm.
Everybody is perfect for their roles, and they do it to perfection.
How many voices does Rob Paulson and Trace McNeil have in the show? The world may never know.
Oh, yeah. So many.
Did I say her name right? Trace?
Tress. I want to shout out somebody who's probably going to come up here and there for the rest of the year. There's a woman by the name of Andrea Romano, and she was the casting director and voice director for this, and I'm just going to say a shocking number of shows that, like, defined a lot of people's childhoods. So, yeah, I'd give a lot of credit to her. I'm not gonna give you her full list of credits in that, but here's just the stuff at the top of her Wikipedia blurb. Batman the Animated Series, Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Teen Titans, Avatar The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, Boondocks, Static Shock, Justice League, Batman Beyond, Ben 10, Freakazoid, Pinky and the Brain, Bonkers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, SpongeBob SquarePants, and let's see, how many awards did she win?
You said this was the casting director?
This is the casting and voice director. She basically created all the voices of your childhood.
Damn.
Hang on. I need to see the list of awards she won.
While you're looking that up, I also liked the you just reminded me, the segment where they were like doing Shakespeare and then Dot was translating it.
Yeah.
They did that a couple times.
And they said something about the Robin, and she's like, the Boy Wonder will save us, and then Batman and Robin pull up.
Yeah, they did that for a couple. They had like 3 or 4 Shakespeare segments that did that. Andrea Romano won 8 Daytime Emmy Awards, a Peabody Award, and a Lifetime Achievement Award from the State University of New York. So yeah, she's got a shelf full of Emmys just from telling people how to sound.
You know, that kind of reminds me of, I like the Dot poetry bits too, because it started off somewhat normal, and then it just went more insane the more it went on.
Yeah, that was I did like how they did those recurring bits. Like, I think that was just for one episode that they were like, well, let's have this be the through line, I guess, or something, or like a recurring B plot kind of thing. I think they always did that very well. I know they did that another time with Yakko. He was essentially doing Countries of the World, but this time he was gonna sing every word in the dictionary.
Ooh.
So, and it's to the same tune in that, but it's like they don't do the whole thing. They're just like, they're cutting to segments. All right, he's starting out, and then he's like singing the A's, and then they go to another segment. They come back. It's 14 hours into Yakko singing the entire dictionary. He's currently on M. He's like going, and then at the end of the episode, he gets to Z, and then the giant dictionary crushes him. So, yeah. I think they're really good at, like, rule of 3, if you know that from, like, any kind of comedy writing type thing. Did anyone end up watching the revival they had on Hulu?
No.
No.
But now I want to.
Yeah, I feel like I need to, like, go watch that today just to make a fresh comparison. But I do remember watching the first season, and it honestly holds up. They had some new stuff, they had some old stuff. A lot of fun things, a lot of movie and like celebrity parodies and that, and some of them were a little more updated for today and that. I recently watched the Futurama reboot on Hulu, and weirdly enough, some of the revivals are holding up. So it's dumb, but I love it. The 65th Warner anniversary thing that was the last episode we watched, having all the like interviews from different people, but like none of them are the actors' names. It's just the characters. Like they knew Spartacus and George Bailey and those people. But I mean, they can jump in and out of movies, so it actually does make sense. Really want to... you know what? I wish they would have interviewed Milton Berle. I want to know what his beef with the Warners was. I mean, we got a little bit of it, but like they bring it up so many times.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back to look at some other episodes, because there were a few where, again, we didn't hit the studio stuff as much this time around, which maybe was a good thing, because we kind of hit a little too much of that in Tiny Toons, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But there was at least 2 episodes that were interesting, because one focused on the studio head, and he was trying to get the Warner brothers and the Warner siblings, to not attend like some sort of like party or something that he was throwing. And then they were like, "Oh, our friend Steven's going to be so disappointed about that." And he's like, wait, Steven? You're bringing Steven? And he's thinking it's Steven Spielberg. No, it's some random guy. But the whole episode is him trying to like ingratiate himself to the Warners so they'll come to the thing and bring their friend Steven. And it's some accountant from somewhere that doesn't matter. And it's, you know that kind of joke. But weirdly enough, there was one other one where it was a rare occurrence. But it was the Warners were actually on the defensive, because they crash a party and they run into, I forget what the guy's name is, but he's played by Ben Stein. Do you guys remember that actor from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the teacher? Bueller.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of other things here and there, but he's essentially just the most boring person you could ever meet at a party, who will shake your hand for an hour while telling you about the time that he met Bob Barker. But, he never gets to the actual point of the story. So they're like trying to avoid him, but he keeps showing up everywhere until they just accept it and accept their fate that like, okay, this guy's going to be with us forever. And then he finally gets to the end of the story like a day later, where he's like, I did meet Bob Barker. How do you like that? Well, I'll see you guys around. And then he leaves and they're like, I miss him. What's going on? And then they have to go after him. There was one other one like that, too, where Dr. Scratch and Sniff couldn't handle them anymore, so they hired another person, and it was a nanny, and it's essentially Mary Poppins. Mm. And they keep trying to get rid of her, and I think I brought this up to you, Envy, last time, about the Bugs Bunny rule. The problem is she's nice to them, so they can't hit her. Like, there's actually one point where Wacko tries to straight up hit her with a mallet, and she's like, oh, is there something I can get you, dear? And he can't do it because she's being nice. It's the laws of like, you have to do something mean to me so that I can do something mean to you. Which I think we do see. It was the one with the stork guy on the radio who's like a Howard Stern stand-in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where he's basically being a jerk to everybody. And they're like, hey, do you want to not be a jerk? And he's like, I'm going to be a jerk. And then they show up and ruin his life. I do like how like Tiny Toons, they build off of like the old styles of humor and comedy in that. And I think one of the things, like we did mention the music here and there. A lot of their stuff is all just repurposed like classical music.
It is.
I always especially remember the President's Song because it was like the 1812 Overture, or the William Tell Overture. Sorry. It was an overture. It was something. I remember that much. And they just like add lyrics to it, which has been a thing since Looney Tunes. I'm trying to think of like anyone our age who didn't learn about Ride of the Valkyries from Bugs Bunny.
I mean, I didn't know that's what it was called. I just knew that music.
Yeah, what's Opera Doc? It's all Wagner. And like Ride of the Valkyries is in there. It's the kill the wabbit.
Yeah, I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah, that's probably the most classic cartoon thing you can do because it's like, it's immediately, you recognize it. You can usually be very creative with it because a lot of them didn't come with lyrics, or at least didn't come with lyrics in English most of the time. So you can modify it however you want. And most importantly, they're public domain, so you don't got to pay a red cent for them.
Nope. Did they use Camptown Ladies somewhere in the episodes we watched? I feel like I heard it somewhere in there.
I would not be surprised. I'd have to probably go back and look. I remember most of the songs as the songs themselves. It's sort of like that thing where if you've only ever heard Weird Al, you
Yes.
know they're a parody of something, but it's also like, you know, I know American Pie, but I'm gonna remember The Saga Begins more often. Which, to be fair, this is completely off topic. Did you know that the guy who sang that song actually a lot of times will confuse it for the guy who actually wrote American Pie is like he actually confuses it for the Weird Al version because his kids sang it so much. I think I might be wrong, and you'd have to like check me on this, but like I think he's actually like sung it in concerts or something every now and then, and like gotten mixed up and like all right, well we gotta okay, you know what? He did a good job.
I mean, I've heard, and this was a long time, I think it was one of the Vlogbrothers. I think he was talking about American Pie, and he was like singing it, and then he went into like another song, and then he went into another song, like, and they all honestly kind of made sense to go into one song after another, to the point that I didn't notice it, and I had to re-listen to it again because he was making fun of himself, and I'm just like, wait a minute, hang on.
Yeah, I do like those. There's some good medleys out there that are fun to like, because like sometimes you can transition really well. Did you guys ever see the one where it's like a Spotify transition or something? I forget what the exact thing that they were doing was, but it was essentially Gangster's Paradise, and it like ends with a chorus, and then immediately perfectly transitions into Duel of the Fates from Star Wars.
Amazing.
It is. I like that. What else do you guys want to talk about with this show? Because like, I don't know that I would. I'm always hesitant to call anything perfect because I don't want to sound like an ass, but like I don't think perfect can be achieved, and I don't think it should be because then we have nothing else to work towards. But like, this is a damn near perfect show for me.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I hope you put the caveat of perfect depending on the person.
Yeah, no, for me is always where it's gonna have to. Yeah, we are not an objective group here.
No, we have a lot of varying opinions.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I mean, I feel like if I had seen maybe different episodes other than these, maybe I would have a stronger opinion, but we watched what we watched.
That's fair. I mean, I'm trying to think, are the original episodes are probably still on Hulu if you have that?
Nope.
Nope, they're not on there, or nope, you don't have it?
No, I don't have it.
Do you have Disney
Too many
Plus?
subscription services to pay for.
Do you have Disney Plus?
I do have that.
You might be able to get it through there because they're all the same thing at this point.
No, you gotta
I mean,
pay
it's
extra.
not my Disney Plus account.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gotta pay extra. Like, they give you a discount, but you gotta pay extra for Disney and Plus and Hulu together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys want to go into final thoughts, or like, is there anything else specifically you want to touch on here?
I'm good.
Okay. My final thoughts. This is a hard yay. I mean, I feel like even if these episodes didn't work for you, I feel like if you go through them, there's something for everybody here, and I feel like, I don't know, I think this is where they like took the style of humor that they were working with and they perfected it and really did something with it, and then they're moving forward, they just, I don't know, they just kept going. Eventually it did run out of steam. Unfortunately, I think, like I said last week, of like, you are throwing so much into each episode that eventually you do run out of things to throw. But yeah, I mean, they made a run of it, and it was great, and I definitely have to check out the revival again, because yeah, I do remember having some fun with that. So yeah, I'm probably going to continue watching some of these old ones, some of the new ones, and that. So yeah, hard yay.
I would probably give this more like a light yay. I did enjoy watching it. I feel like I was probably a little underwhelmed, though, mostly just because, like, what episodes we were watching just weren't, like, hitting it for me for varying reasons. I still have a lot of nostalgia for the show, and I know that I really, really enjoyed it as a kid. So it's just probably a matter of a changing sense of humor and, like, maybe needing a different set of episodes to watch to thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm a full yay. I enjoyed watching it, and I'm glad I finally did. Am I gonna rush out and watch all the episodes? Probably not right now, but I enjoyed it, so there's that.
Yeah, I'm a big yay as well. Not everything ages great, but nothing wasn't unwatchable. I don't think nothing was unwatchable. Yeah, I don't know. I think I enjoyed this more than I did as a child because I got the wordplay. For kids, I think it's more about like the slapstick.
Yeah.
But like as an adult, you can get the full brunt of the comedy.
Yep. We finally understand fingerprints.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No, I got the joke, but
yeah,
but
no, I
just
know.
don't-
But would
I still can't
you have
believe
gotten that as a kid?
No.
Exactly. Yeah. So, moving on from here, we're going to Pinky and the Brain next. The one show that's actually, I think it's the only spin-off that they ended up having because everything else, like, really, yeah. But Pinky and the Brain was their most popular segment, understandably. And yeah, we'll see how they do when they have their own show and they can have like a half-hour format all of themselves. So come back for that, and then we're doing Freakazoid afterwards and Gargoyles at the end of the month because we're going to start Halloween early. Yeah, it's a good month. I'm enjoying this month so far, and I think I'm going to continue enjoying it, and hope you guys do too. So come back for that and everything else we got going on. We'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.
Hi.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!